Okay. Hello. Matt Zolman here, working on my indie comic creation along with Tyler James called Epic, kicking it off and doing a alternative cover for our upcoming fourth issue that we're getting ready to do some crowdfunding on Kickstarter here in the coming months. And so just trying to put my work out there further. And so I just started up a YouTube channel and thought I would share, the process and kind of talk through it as I'm going. Hopefully, if anybody joins, feel free to ask some questions and I'll try to answer as much as possible. I'm hoping this is going out. I got OBS rolling right now. It says I'm recording, or says I'm streaming. So, yeah. Let me see how I can get the chat going. It says it's disabled. How do I enable? All right. So as a first-time streamer, I'm trying to see all the technical ins and outs of what it takes to stream more. So it's kind of fun tripping over myself trying to figure out what I'm missing in some of our setups. Like currently it says my chat's disabled for this live stream, and I have no idea how to enable it. Let's see. Details. Got a public rolling. Don't need auto chapters, tags I can add in there later. So this is the fun stuff you're not seeing me guys actually work on. So, or you're not seeing it on the screen. So, so I'm trying to stumble through this. On what it takes to do these things. So right now it's asking for tags, right? So I'm adding some quick ones in here for like Clip Studio Paint, Indie Comics. Let's see. No, not that one. All right, I think I can edit this later, but we'll save that. What I want to do is see if I can get the chat rolling on this, because I don't know how I go about doing that. Because chat's disabled there, and the other thing is that when I click off, I can't see the chat. All right, let's see. Let me tell you, this is some exciting stuff of watching me stare off into another screen and not do anything. All right, let's see here. Live chat, we're going to check that. Live chat is disabled for this video. Okay, how do I enable it? So I see the buttons to enable live chat, yet I can't do it. All right, moving on. Let's roll through this. Hopefully I can get some views later on. And hey, you got to start somewhere, right? Like, it's the whole reason why I wanted to get uncomfortable doing this is try to just get more of a better cadence to share my work in the process that I'm doing. Here's the entire cover. It's a group shot of heroes and villains from the series. We've got our main hero, Epic. He's a teenage superhero with all the usual superpowers, flight, invulnerability, strength, laser vision, all that stuff like that. His biggest challenge is that he lives in Miami, and his biggest weakness is being a teenage boy is girls. So anytime he's around girls, he kind of loses his powers. And being in Miami, that's definitely a challenge. So it's a fun comic. It's really zany. A lot of good stuff in there. We're getting ready to launch our fourth issue of the book. Myself and Tyler James. If you're not familiar with Tyler James, he is a comic creator, comic publisher of Comics Tribe. He's also he's the Kickstarter mastermind. And so you've probably seen his work. If you're interested in doing any type of crowdfunding on Kickstarter, he's the man. He's got a podcast, he's got a YouTube channel. If you don't know who he is or seen that work or interested in how to crowdfund, go check out his work. It's fantastic. He does a lot of courses and leads people in doing very successful campaigns. He's had many successful campaigns on himself, and then he does a lot of interviews around other creators who are also crowdfunding. So go check this stuff out. But this is a series that he and I started almost about a decade ago, and it was fun. It was a time we were at different points in our lives. So I as soon as I started it, I couldn't sustain it, and he continued the series kickoff with another artist, FICO Asio. Sorry, I believe that's how you pronounce the name, FICO. If that's not how you pronounce it, I apologize. But yeah, FICO's a fantastic artist. He pencils, inks, and colors a lot of his own work. I don't know if he does it still to this day. He's actually doing work for the Big Two, and has had some successful indie books out through Dark Horse. If you ever seen his work, what was it called? No One Left to Fight with Aubrey Sutton, I think is his name, was the writer. It's kind of a love letter to Dragon Ball Z. It's a fantastic series. His artwork's incredible. So he's doing some amazing things now. But so he did the first 3 issues, and now I'm picking up in issue 4 and kind of rekindling my love for the series and the books and creating comic book artwork. So yeah, this is me doing my thing, and I'm working on, like I said, an alternative cover of just all the characters in the book in a different composition. This composition is interesting because if you guys know comic artists, there's a very famous artist. One of my biggest influences is Arthur Adams, and he does group character shots like this. He's really famous for like a lot of X-Men posters and stuff like that that he did. So this is my chance to kind of do that. So it's kind of fun to just do an ensemble piece and trying to figure out the composition. That's the funny thing about it, right? So I ghosted in the logo, and then adding different characters in here to see how it was going to work out is the challenge. So yeah, that's kind of fun to figure those things out. So working my way from the bottom up for the most part, and right now I'm finishing out this. We got this character here called Scarewolf, and he looks like he's a villain, but he's actually one of the heroes of the book. And so yeah, obviously just a werewolf type character. So kind of having fun with him, putting some expression in, some different line weights. So now I've got some baseline in here with his legs. You can see the difference between his upper body and his lower body. Upper body's got some rendering to it, some line weight and sculpting. But my process is after we have the sketch, which I can turn off my inks layer, right? You can see the pencil sketches. I do a rough. Let me see if I can even show that. So we have a rough in here. Everything's just big shapes, big movements, just trying to get the feel and the composition right. Then I come back with a sketch layer on top of that. And since I ink my own work, I don't go too detailed on the pencils here because they're just more guideposts for me to get into the inking side of this. And then when I jump into inks, I make a lot of the heavy decisions around creatively on how I want to position things, and I'll take some liberties to that. It's not a one-to-one to the sketch to the ink. Ear positions or facial structures. I make some adjustments, hair and stuff like that. Just whatever feels right. So I got to get better at that. I want to try to do better in my sketching, so I leave less less decision making in the inks and just kind of go through it, because I do get caught up a little bit on what do they call it, paralysis by analysis, trying to decide, well, does it look good here, look good there, and I should make those decisions in the pencil stage, but right now I do it in the ink stage. But it's kind of my mode, trying to get better at it. But yeah, so I'm just going to roll through here and sketch out some stuff here to finish up this this character. So you can see, like in here, there's no claws on the rest of the toes, but I just kind of hint those in and go in and add more later. And then yeah, just try to. So right now I just do very thin line work just to get all the shapes and the sizing right, and then I'll come back with what I call line sculpting. Right, give things some depth. Thicker lines on the bottom. Just try to give some dimension to the line work versus just a single line that's here. Also trying to decide where my spot blocks are going to go. So one thing, if you notice in this, that I'm really trying to work on is how I use blacks in here. Again, if you look at Art Adams' work, and a lot, J. Scott Campbell's a big influence of mine, Ryan Otley, Greg Capullo. The way they use blacks is just incredible to me. So it's something that, as an artist, I'm constantly trying to get better at and try to understand how can you make this piece look as if it was never going to get colored. And that's a recommendation from Todd McFarlane when I was watching a portfolio review of his. He said, ink it as if it's never going to be colored. And so I'm trying to be more mindful of that as I move forward with my work. So yeah, again, just a lot of trial and error, a lot of experimentation. And I don't want to be afraid to try things just because, it's digital. It's not like I got ink, all over the place, and I'm getting, struggling with physical pen and paper and things like that. So this character actually wears blue jeans. Now that's the question, right? Do I color in all the blue jeans and the shapes and things of that nature? So yeah, we're gonna have some decisions that we have to make in this. But right now, I'm just kind of going through and shaping in what some of this stuff may look like. So again, line weights, thinner down at the top here, thicker down here to show some weight to these lines. And that's probably my favorite part of the process, is this what I call line sculpting, trying to understand where the dimensionality in the shape's going to happen, because I have a very cartoony style, as you can tell. So this really helps. I'm not a big renderer, not a big cross-hatching guy and shadow and things of that nature. So this helps me get some more dimensionality in the work I'm doing, in my work anyway. So I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but that's the other challenge, is I got to get better at how much time I put into stuff. I'm just a hobbyist. I got a professional career that I do in marketing and management, and so but I love doing comic book artwork. Loved it since I was a kid. This is what I wanted to do as a kid. But, go to school, get a career, got married, had kids, but still love to do this kind of, I'll say right now as a hobby. But someday, this could be, if this could sustain my income levels, this would be fantastic. I would be living a childhood dream. All right, so next goal is I've tried streaming on Twitch a few times with, just cutting my teeth on talking while you draw, right, while you're working, because it's boring as hell just to watch somebody just silently working, especially when you can't see the cursor, so you don't know where the lines are going. I have the cursor turned off, and so what fun is that if you don't have a topic of discussion that you want to talk through while you're hoping that somebody's watching your work, watching you go through your work. All right, let's see here. Let's throw in some more fur, shapes of fur, some shadowing of fur in there. Tough part about digital is trying to understand at what depth, what level of do you address stuff. You can see me zooming in really, really quickly, going in and out pretty quickly because I'm trying to, get close enough to where I can put the level of sculpting on some of these lines that I want to. And it's a lot easier to zoom in and do it real quick and then bounce out and see what it looks like. But the challenge with that is you can spend a lot of time rendering out something that once it gets into physical print, it wasn't worth it at all because, whatever and this was more prevalent, 10 years ago when there was more offset printing, and now with digital printing and stuff like that, and people consuming this digitally, on tablets or, phones, it's less of a concern because anybody can zoom in on artwork, and I like that. I like the idea that you could be able to zoom in, look at the artist's intention with some of this work, but the challenge with that is it easily creates some time challenges because you want to you want to spend some time that maybe there isn't going to be a lot of value to, and if you got deadlines, that can be a big challenge. So, all right, so let's try to give this some shapes. And this is the other thing I struggle with, let me back this out, right? So, like how to actually sculpt and shade appropriately. You can see in the thigh area here, our guy Roid Rage here, he's kind of our Hulk character. About a kid who got into some bad drugs for sports and Hulk's out, rages out, but still wearing his football uniform for the time being. How do you shade this appropriately with shaping muscle and tone and stuff like that? Same thing with, we got our, next to him is, to his right, our left, is one of the main villains, Sinistress, right? So she's wearing darker colored clothing. Also texture of that clothing, what kind of, material is it? And then you go up to, our guy right here. This is Rhinor, obviously a Rhino type, hulking character. He's got a black tank top on, so how do I render that? And it creates some interesting challenges with, her hair being butted up against his tank top. Totally wasn't thinking when I was doing that, but in the end, it's like, I'm going to let it roll. If I like the energy, if I like the flow, I'm going to let that go. I grew up a 90s kid, And love him or hate him, Rob Liefeld always touts, like, if it looks cool, which he was the king of doing this, go with it, rather than being like technically correct or even anatomy wise being correct. And of course that guy is, he's infamous for his anatomy choices. But growing up as a kid, went during the image boom and his time with New Mutants to X-Force, man, I ate that up. I was a kid in a candy store at that point in time. And and just really enjoyed that his artwork. So yeah, just trying to put in, this is a darker leather, and so how do you put in some texturing. So speaking of Liefeld, if you haven't had a chance, check out his podcast, Robservations. He's a comic book historian, and he goes through a lot of stuff from his time as a comic creator back in the 90s, and will I'm going to turn that layer off just so I can drop in some spot blacks quickly. But anyway, he's a historian. He goes through his time and his perspectives around the industry during those times, and it's a lot of good stuff. It's a pretty good podcast if you're from my genre, or from my age group, and if you lived in that time, experienced the image boom. It's pretty cool. All right, so now just putting in some rendering lines that and then I can even turn my pen to where it's an eraser versus a instead of drawing a black line, it's not necessarily drawing a white line, but it's removing the black. And so it's kind of fun to add some rendering this way. In case you're wondering, I'm using a Huion 24-inch 4K monitor I've had for about 8 months now. Got it back during the holidays. I liked it all. I need more. Got it back in the holidays at the end of the year last year. Made the investment. So far, so good. I've been pretty happy with it. I like the resolution on that 4K. It makes a big difference. I was drawing on an iPad with Procreate, but wanted to have more of a workstation, and so, like I said, I threw in the investment here on this, and so far it's been pretty good. They just updated the driver on it, so it even it's been more consistent, because the I'd have to restart the drivers on it every so often to get it to work appropriately, but the new driver works pretty well. The only gripe about it now is that when I'm working on a MacBook Pro, and when that goes to sleep, this monitor just goes through like sleep cycles trying to find a source, so it never technically goes to sleep. And so never been a fan of just don't know what it's doing for the battery or whatever the case, or excuse me, for the it's cycling power, so I don't know what that means. Got some overlap here. Let's kill that. Yeah, so I just don't know if it's an issue when it cycles through power like that. So yeah. All right, so again, kind of rendering out that. You can see I'm trying to make it a darker color. This guy right here is the same thing on this side. Two different rendering styles, but it's okay. I'm not too hung up on it. I'm going to fix this, and I don't know necessarily how to, because sometimes when I draw these characters in, like having this bird's wings overlap and having that funnel into it, and then I move, you know, if it doesn't work out, then I move the character, and I got to deal with this, so I'm going to kill those, have them come more off the come on. It's tough because I don't want it to go like this, because that creates a weird tangent. So I'm trying to either decide to go beyond it or inside of it. If I go inside of it, it seems too thin, but now you got to try to make these lines even. I think that'll work. Nope. If you can hear me typing away, I'm using a, with this monitor, it comes with this little programmable keypad. And it's got the little dial wheel on it, so you can zoom in and out really quickly. Super handy. And then you can assign hotkeys to this. So all the tools in the palette over here to the upper left of what you see on your screen has hotkeys associated to it. So you can jump from the eraser to the pen to the pencil to the lasso. And so it's very handy, but also when you're trying to move quickly, you can fat finger a lot of things, and then you end up dealing with that. So it kind of gets like case in point, trying to not get the eraser. I feel like I want to fill that little spot in right there. Alright, that helps that out. Okay. Alright, so for right now, I don't think I'm going to fill in his jeans, his pants. Like I said, they're blue jeans, so how should I render out those? How dark should we make them? And I think right now, I'm just going to leave them white as it is right now, because could be a challenge with how much they're shown. But let's see if we can add some line sculpting in here to kind of fill out. Again, weird tangent. Tangent is one line's coming into the other right here. Let me draw that better right there. So his leg, his calf line coming in also lines up perfectly with the wing of this bird, and again creates a very weird dynamic. The question is it weird enough to address, or do you just keep moving on? And right now, I'm going to make the decision to keep moving on. Putting in some textures. Got to figure this out. So he's leaning over his chest. So again, I put this all and just filled it in with blacks. And so now I got to decide how this, how do we continue this right now. I'm just going to put this in like this. And the nice thing again with digital is that you can overlap. I purposely, these rendering lines right here, purposely go over the wing only for the fact of because I want that energy. So I don't want to try to purposely start a line and stop it right on the wing, because sometimes it just, I don't know, loses its energy. So I can quickly go over it and then just erase the overlap. Makes it convenient. Alright, so now again, what to do with this. this. All right. So now we got this shape right here. It's supposed to be like his thigh pressing up. And I don't know if it's an appropriate thing to fill this in, but we're going to try it again. Why not? See how that feels. I don't hate it, but I think I need it on the left, on his opposite leg too, to kind of show what's happening. So we have consistency in the approach, meaning we go over here. Nope. Go like this. There we go. And so see what I'm saying? So now we got some dark shading here for some shapes. Filling in those spots. Throughout some. All right, let's do some cleanup over here. All right, so the one thing that's interesting is so on the pen as well, there's this little rocker. Let me see if I can get this. There's two buttons on the pen. You can assign hotkeys to that. So right now I've got one is the hand to allow me to move it around. The other one is the rotate key to allow me to quickly navigate the artwork. And then I have the zoom wheel to go help me go in and out. So I can quickly just jump in and out and go through those things. But the problem is when you're holding it, right, like you can see, let me see if I can get in here, right? You know, depending on where the pen is rotated in your hand, sometimes you can fat finger those things as you're drawing too, and that can be a problem. Case in point, like see this little line right here? I don't know where that guy's come from. I don't know if it's even on this layer. Yes, see, it's on the first one. Let me find the right layer. Okay, so it is. So cool. So I can just quickly delete that. Or erase it anyway. All right, so now we have some shading on his. I think I'm gonna go like this, go like that. I'm gonna turn this around and go like this. Show some underside to his calf right there. Thicken up that line. There's not a lot of reason, like I don't have any like huge justifiable reason for some of the stuff I do. I just think, okay, does that sell the shape more? Does that sell the motion that I'm looking for? It does, great. Let's do it. If not, I'll delete it later. This case in this, I'm trying to his knee. Trying to give more definition to his knee. Yeah, let's do this. Let's thicken this line up a little bit, coming out of his inner thigh. That helps that out. Maybe add some thickness on the end. All right, feeling pretty good. Now the only thing I think left that I have for this character is let's run some rendering on his back gauntlets over here. Not going to overcomplicate these guys. Okay. Cool, I think that wraps up this character. Of course, I can keep going on this because when I see this, I'm like, oh, let's add this. Let's add that. All right, so I think that does a trick for him. All right, cool. I think I'm going to wrap it up here. Gone just about 38 minutes for the stream. Hopefully you guys check it out. Hit me up with any questions you got in the comments, and then I'll hit you up on the I'll try to do this more and try to broadcast this and see if we can have some growth in what I'm trying to do here with showing the artwork, talking through it, and hopefully we can engage on some conversations in the future. Talk to you later. Thanks.